Well, we came from this Mai Villadsen. Here is an article where she talked about parties should give an apology to girls from the institution on Sprogø. It's an island in Denmark where they placed young women who were very wild in their sex life or whom they meant were lower intelligent. They forced them to be sterilized in some cases. But they had, before in time, they had very much with the close in, lock in people whom they didn't think was normal or who were not behaving the way they felt or meant people should behave. And in Denmark, in between there come some situation up where people in the institution many years back finally come forward to get an apology because they have been mistreated so badly in different ways on these institutions, and those kind of cases come up again and again and again. Some time back there were an old man who has been placed on a childcare home as child, and together with other of those from this boy home, they want to have an apology from the state. And here we see there are some talk about some girls on a home who should have an apology, and it's also many, many years ago. And I can't help thinking about all we parents who in the last 20, 30 years have been pissed off by our own country, by our own government, by our own authorities, and our own fellow citizens who had worked with child cases. How we have got our life destroyed for lifetime, and we have to yell up about it for lifetime, and nobody fucking wants to listen to us and understand what damage they have done to us, how much damage they have done to our lives, both our life quality, our family life, our opportunity to have what you could call a normal, happy life. They have destroyed our opportunity for real happiness in life. They have destroyed us in some way mentally. They have brainwashed our fellow citizens to look down on us and totally twisted people's mind and even our children's mind to understand what was actually going on. I have 2 children which brains are totally twisted. They have got the totally opposite opinion about what was going on and what was right and what was wrong, because they have been brainwashed and they have clearly not understood what actually happened. And maybe one day somebody will succeed to yell up the system and make people understand what they do and have done to parents and children for many, many years actually was not okay. Maybe many years from now somebody could succeed with that, and it would end up that maybe Mai Villadsen's upcoming children who could very well end up to be politicians too. Maybe they will be the one who should say, "Oh, we were sorry. We did wrong in those things." And then they have got away with it. They have hurt people for so many generations. And then after many years where a lot of those who were hurt in it has died, they could make a person who has actually not anything to do with it to say the word, "I apology." It's so sick. It's so sick. The freedom to wave your arms end at the tip of the other person's nose. In Denmark, we actually have a law that said it's not allowed to hit your children. The father to my children, who succeeded, together with the system, to hunt me and my son away from each other, and later me and my daughter away from each other. That father was actually violent to our son after this law has been put in place. This law, you are not allowed to hit kids in Denmark. It was a law when the system and the Danish court system gave the whole parents' decision over our son, to the father. And they knew he had broken that law. But why did they do that and look between the fingers with that? Because there was some who has been written in the paper, "We assume the mother has a mental weakness. There must be something wrong with this mother mentally. We assume there are something mental wrong, genetic, in the mother's family. And the way the mother are, she must have some kind of mental illness." So here we see, in my cases, even though it was only a suspicion that maybe the mom is a little mental ill somehow, the suspicion was judged to be much worse than a violent father who wants to mentally and physically kill the son's mother. So we come into something mentally. This person, he is very confusing to listen to. He talks about narcissism, psychopath, and personality disorders. I saw this whole video and listened to it and tried to make up and down in what he was saying. I remember once I saw one with him, he actually claimed that he was a narcissist himself. But I want you to listen to the last line he says in this video, and especially the very few last word he is saying.
I think the brain abnormality is a secondary, not primary. But this also needs to be proved, or at least investigated. We have a lot of work to do. 8 years later, shame on us.
We have a lot of work to do. 80 years later, shame on us. He said 80 years later, shame on us.
I think the brain abnormalities are secondary, not primary. But this also needs to be proved, or at least investigated. We have a lot of work to do. 8 years later, shame on us.
Does this man actually say here, we know when we do different kind of experiments on the mental side of life on people, we know the wounds and the destruction after it will show up even 80 years later, and that's when people will admit it. It's when people realize it. And you can say it could be very close to where the next world war will be started. It seems they have some kind of way to run the world where they arrange a new world war very close to the time where there are no more people back who remember the last World War. And in the period between, they start the game all over to destroy humans in the process. And who are running that show? Those who sit on the top and earn big money, so they have the best opportunity for a good and happy and uncomplicated life. I don't know how we stop those who run the world this crazy way. I really don't know. It seems to be a little hopeless because they have a lot of knowledge that most of us will never be allowed to get. And they have the rulership, and they really have weapons where they can take whoever they want away whenever they want. Worst is that in a way they do not even hide it. Yes, they hide it, but the way they succeed to hide it is because we who have not learned what is going on and how things actually are functioning, we do not understand when they say it up in our face. They mock us and we do not understand it. They laugh at us, they laugh at how they treat us bad and how they make us run around in the circus. They learn some of us to hurt each other. They manipulate us to be bad to each other. What can we do? My question is just, are politicians worthy to be parents?